Hello, everyone. My name is Tammy Schamuhn, and I am a registered child psychologist, the co-founder of the Institute of Child Psychology, the co-host of the Child Psych podcast, and the author of the Parenting Handbook. In today's video, we are going to look at natural ways to treat anxiety. And one of the best ways to actually do this is to examine and to make adjustments to your child's diet. So in this video, I'm going to explain why that is and what we can add to make significant positive changes in their mood by simply looking at what goes into their mouths. When we think of anxiety, many of us have heard of medication like Zoloft or Prozac, which are called selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, or SSRIs, which increase serotonin levels in the brain by influencing the way neurons communicate. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in mood regulation and is related to anxiety and sleep and overall emotional well-being. Dopamine is another neurotransmitter related to anxiety and depression, primarily associated with reward and motivation and pleasure and motor control, but it does play a role in regulating mood and emotional responses. So we're looking at primarily serotonin and some dopamine. So most of us think of these two chemicals as brain chemicals, but what's really interesting, and this is where food comes in, is that 90% roughly of the body's serotonin is produced in your stomach and intestine, so in the gut, and 50% of dopamine. It's the gut microbiome, this bacteria that live in our intestines and our stomach that make these brain chemicals, which is about 1 to 2 pounds of bacteria in children's guts and 2 to 5 pounds in adults. So to keep our mental health in check, I always tell my kids we need to keep the little bugs in our stomachs happy and healthy. And that requires making sure we get certain things in our diet. So let's talk first of all, what makes our gut really unhappy, which can lead to emotion dysregulation, including anxiety and depression. And the number one culprit here is processed foods. Diets high in sugar, refined carbohydrates, and trans fats negatively affect the gut microbiome, leading to inflammation, which stops the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine that keeps our mood stabilized. If we have chronic gut inflammation, this can also lead to intestinal impermeability or leaky gut, which allows toxins and inflammatory molecules to enter the bloodstream. Now, what are some anti-inflammatory foods that we can ingest that are going to help with this? Colorful fruits and vegetables rich in antioxidants are great. Nuts and seeds such as walnuts and almonds, olive oil, and fatty fish that are rich in inflammatory compounds. Now, after we've taken care or ruled out inflammation, we want to look at nutrients that support the production of dopamine and serotonin. And there are 8 that I'm going to mention that you can either get from food or from taking a vitamin supplement. The first is your omega-3 fatty acids that are found in fatty fish such as salmon and mackerel. It can be found in walnuts and flax seeds. And these omega-3 support brain health and can reduce anxiety and depression by promoting neural communication and then reducing inflammation. Then you've got your vitamin D made from the sun, or you can take a vitamin. You can eat foods such as fortified dairy, or fatty fish can also help with your vitamin D. Your vitamin B, which is especially important, is your B6, 12, and folate. This comes from eggs, poultry, dairy, leafy greens, and fortified cereals. Then you've got magnesium-rich foods that regulate the nervous system and reduce stress. You can find these in leafy greens, nuts, seeds, avocados, and bananas. Next comes your zinc. Low levels are linked to depressive symptoms and anxiety, and foods like meat, shellfish, and legumes can help boost intake. Then you've got your complex carbohydrates. Foods like whole grains, such as brown rice, oats, and quinoa, provide a steady release of energy and promote the production of serotonin. Then we want to look at your probiotics and your prebiotics. A healthy gut is supported by natural probiotics found in fermented foods such as yogurt and sauerkraut or kimchi, and diets high in fiber, which accounts for your prebiotic. We also want to limit or eradicate any caffeine from your child's diet that can be found in items such as iced tea, pop or soda, energy drinks, chocolate, and even some protein bars. So we really want to check those ingredient labels if we can. And something that I am just starting to study more as we're writing a book on anxiety in kids is the fact that we can do all the things right and our diet can be spot on, but environmental toxins can interfere with serotonin production, release, reuptake, or receptor function. So we want to look at the yucky stuff in our environment that can really mess with our microbiome or just our brain. Things such as heavy metals or pesticides. Even if you can't eat 100% organic, try to stay away from the dirty dozen, which includes strawberries, spinach, kale, collard, mustard greens, peaches, pears, nectarines, apples, grapes, bell peppers and hot peppers, cherries, blueberries, and green beans. Those are the highest in pesticides. Other toxins can include air pollution, food additives such as aspartame, sucralose, artificial colors such as red dye 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, and green 3, sodium nitrites and nitrates, BHA, BHT, sodium benzoate, MSG, and polysorbates, just to name a few. Lastly, ensuring your child isn't faced with crazy amounts of stress is going to be important, because when our kids have really stressful experiences, have too many transitions, are overstimulated, like they have way too many organized activities, not enough sleep, too much screen time, and don't get enough play, family time, or movement, we often see high levels of cortisol. And that's a stress hormone that is absolutely fine in small amounts, but neurotoxic in large amounts. It literally kills your brain and your memory centers and your executive functioning. Chronic stress is related to the production of cortisol, which then, like I said, acts as a toxin then also disrupts your serotonin production and receptor function. It causes a lot of inflammation in the gut. So the overall message here is maintaining a healthy micro gut biome through a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle is crucial for battling emotion dysregulation, especially for anxiety and depression. And before we ever jump to medication, it's always best to evaluate our child or teen's diet as one of the first steps. And if you're not sure what item is missing, and I just listed way too many for you, it's best to talk to a naturopathic doctor, and they can actually test these levels in your child to see what is off and what might be going on. It's actually one of the first things I recommend to my parents when I see their child or teen is struggling with anxiety or depression, is we want to evaluate these levels in the blood if at all possible and get them on high doses. And it's really dose dependent, because we can give vitamins, but if it's not the right dose, it's actually not going to be helpful in keeping their brains healthy. So we're hoping this was educational. We hope you learned something, that there are natural ways to battle anxiety and depression and dysregulation in our kids and for us too. And diet is one of the easiest places to start.